Taylor Katz, and I will be reporting on the nurture aspect of homosexuality. The previous parts of this presentation spoke about the biological and genetic side of homosexuality, but I'll be talking more about the environment and social aspects. First, I want to give a shout out to Alfred Kinsey and the Kinsey Institute for Research in Sex, Gender, and Reproduction. They provided a lot of information and facts for homosexuality research, and my presentation wouldn't be much without them. So first we're going to go through the parenting styles and how parenting influences children at a young age to possibly become homosexual or not become homosexual. Then we're going to look at other nature aspects like abnormal experiences and peer development in homosexuality development, and then we're going to go through a Kinsey study. So this is a chart. It might be easier to look on my slides that I post on Blackboard, but this shows how authoritarian, authoritative, and permissive parents affect their children, and we're going to look more at that in the next couple slides. So first we look at the authoritarian parent. They are never wrong, they think, at least. They show their children very little affection. They don't really have much communication with their children. It's kind of what they say goes. They have very traditional values. There's not much leeway for discussion with their children. This leads to passive children. So the children kind of just accept whatever their parents say. There's no discussion about how they feel. They become greatly influenced by their peers because they at least can talk about things with their peers. They feel frustrated. They're likely to be very violent, and they're not very curious intellectually. In their daily activities, they're very structured, so there's very little spontaneity. This leads them to be less likely to be homosexual because their parents won't even let them have that thought in their head. They wouldn't even dare think about it because they would be scared that they would be punished. Next, we have permissive parents who are extremely high on warmth. They're kind of the opposite of the previous slide. They're low in structure. They don't feel responsible for their children. They're neglectful. They don't give their children any discipline. They kind of let the children do whatever they want. This leads to rebellious children because they don't have any rules. They're antisocial, they lack self-respect, they're self-conscious, they desire control, which is interesting because their parents don't give them any rules, so they want rules. They're insecure, they could become depressed or anxious, and they tend to make their own rules. These children are likely to be homosexual in order to rebel against their parents because they're not scared of their parents lashing out at them or getting mad at them because the parents basically let them do whatever they want. This could also be because they feel so insecure that they just follow their peers and do whatever their peers do. So if their peers are homosexual, they might be too. Next, we have authoritative parents, which are high in warmth, but they're moderately disciplined. So this is the average or the moderate parent. It's the best type of parent. They communicate with their children a lot. They have very average expectations, so it's nothing like crazy and nothing too little. It's kind of just right in the middle. They give their children a lot of emotional support, and they create a democratic environment at home. This leads to cooperative children who accept responsibility. They do well in school. They socially are very adept. They're socially empowered. They have a lot of self-respect. They don't rebel much, and they're just very well-adjusted types of people, very well-rounded. And these children are likely to be homosexual if they feel like they want to be. So they don't feel any pressure to be heterosexual or homosexual. Their parents are very open to their options, and whatever they want to pursue, their parents will make them feel comfortable doing so. So this slide kind of connects to parenting, but it's more about the family. So studies have shown that if you have a mother or father that rejects you, you're more likely to be homosexual. If your mother's possessive or your father is just completely distant or absent, you also have a higher chance of being homosexual. If the parent, obviously this is an abnormal sexual experience, but if the parent molests a same-sex child and the children knows about it, that could also increase their chances of being homosexual, along with siblings molesting other siblings. Also, this is an interesting idea, but a lack of religion also influences homosexuality, because if you think about a very religious family, they'll completely shun the idea of homosexuality. And parents that are very open to homosexual lifestyles. So if your parents have friends and coworkers that are homosexual, children will feel more comfortable being homosexual. Next, homosexual parents raising children. The rates of gay children are much higher when their parents are gay themselves. So this statistic was interesting. 58% of lesbians have gay children and 33% of gay men have gay children. So it definitely does have an effect, and that's a very social and environment factor. Unusual sexual experience in childhood, such as excessive masturbation, depersonalized sex, interaction with older adults during sex, and exposure to pornography also shows that homosexuality can occur just in general because they don't feel comfortable with sexuality, so they're gonna maybe lash out and want to do something completely different. Cultural influences are influences that have to do with the environment. So if your school is a pro-homosexual sex education class, so instead of shunning homosexual behavior, they explain everything and it's very clear what homosexuals do, how they have sex, children will feel more comfortable and possibly will become more homosexual. If there are no laws or regulations against gays, that could also help let children feel more comfortable. So the Kinsey study that I want to talk to was performed twice, once in 1940 and once in 1970, both with a big group of homosexuals, and this was around the same time as the gay rights issue that was going on in political conversation. And they asked gays why they thought that they were gay. So only 9% believed that it was biological. Only 9%, as you see at the bottom, right here, said that 9% of them believed that it was nature. Early homosexual experiences was one reason. That was 22%, so that was the most likely. The fact that they were around homosexuals a lot was 16%. Poor relationships with mother and father was a combined 29%. Unusual development was 15%. Unavailableness of heterosexual partners, so maybe that has to do with location. For example, if you are living in San Francisco, you definitely have more homosexual partners available than maybe a place like Oklahoma or Kentucky. Social ineptitude, 9%, and once again, born that way was 9%. So that's a very low percent of homosexuals believe that it was biologically determined. So overall, these results showed that homosexuals overwhelmingly believe that their feelings and behavior are the result of social and environmental influences. So realistically, this means that they do believe that it had to do with the environment, and regardless of if they were born that way or not, they think it really had to do with the fact that they were around certain things and raised a certain way. And lastly, I just wanted to thank you for watching, and this was a quote by Barack Obama that says, "It is important for me personally to go ahead and affirm the same-sex couples should be able to get married." So clearly homosexuality is more allowed in culture today. So thank you for watching and enjoy.